Okay, video number 3. In the last video we talked a little bit about running a file, a simple version just to get you going. I always suggest when you're new to run some vcarve files, try the bull's head sign from Vectric. And a couple of cute little things are not to promise anybody in the family anything too quick, or tell everybody at church you got one of these things, and or try to show off too quick till you sort of master it. It can be a little embarrassing to invite someone over and find out what you haven't really learned yet, which is also a great way to find out what you really haven't learned yet. But in the commercial world, we never ever bought a tool with a job waiting on it. We learned the tool and then we ran the job, and we've been fairly successful with that, and I strongly suggest you consider that. Because people call up and they're like, well, let's don't get into the moaning and complaining. Hey, moving on to some of the features in wincnc. Okay, we've run a file and the day is done. And the next day we come in and I always trace my files a little bit on the table, or, I've got indexing. I screw guides to my spool board. As far as placement of my material, 99 times out of 100, it's rare I run another file that I can't recreate a Z. But if for any reason, and I've had to go back in and fix or repair a file or add some text to it and want to get it back into the same position. The tough stuff about this is that there are other things that can cause this. For example, you may have an electrical surge or an outlet or something. You may lose power and lose Z, lose location. These things are all very frustrating. And I'm going to show you a little bit about getting past them. In this case, I'm going to move again, your wincnc has to be the prevalent software on your screen so that it will run. But the beauty of the software is I am making this video with wincnc on the same screen. You can't do that with Mach 3. You can't do it with several others. If they say you can do it with Mach 3, I don't recommend it. But let's just say I came in the next day and I ran another file, and for some strange reason, you can always go up here to View, clear your screen. It's going to put your screen back where you see it. But if you look, my bit is out here over my job, and because it lost position or because I changed position, it now thinks that X and Y are in a completely different place than where I ran this file. But I've decided I need to go back and add some text, and I'm just in a quandary about it. The beauty of this is that if it's the next day, I can always home my machine, which is always suggested if you're going to reclaim a position. I would suggest you home your machine by simply bringing it, we'll go through the home procedure again. You bring it in close to low X and low Y, and you home the machine, okay? And again, it's going to go up and up and up until it tests the high Z position, and it'll get there eventually. It'll touch that limit switch and come down, and then it's going to go off and it's going to test the low X position. It'll touch those limit switches, and then it will come back to the preset offset. In my case, I always have it at the edge of my table. Then it's going to come down to the low Y position down in this area here. It's going to touch the limit switches at low Y, and then it's going to back up to the preset position. And again, it is at absolute home. Now, at this point, these numbers are relative to where it came from, and they have really nothing to do with it at this point. Because if you remember, I went to my settings, I went to my home positions, I saved machine home, and when I click on it and get position, it went to 0, and I hit OK. Now, I wanted to find that X and Y that I worked from yesterday. Again, the beauty of it is, again, I saved that home position called Job Z. And when I tell it to go to, it went right smack back to my Z position that it started at yesterday. At this point, I always zero my X and Y, reset my Z, and move on and cut my file again or add my text or whatever I wanted to do. That's a simple version of using the home positions. It's a great tool. Let's go through one other procedure. Let's go up, let's take the bit up a little bit, out onto the table. And for some strange reason, again, we've lost position. We've had a power failure. We turned our file off accidentally. A lot of people will run a big long file. Let's say you're doing a 3D that you started at 9 o'clock at night, you found out it ran 7 or 8 hours, and you just don't feel like sitting up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and you decide to go home for the night. The restart feature will take care of this. Personally, I just hit pause on my machine. This machine will stop right there. I leave it on. I go to sleep. I come back the next day. I hit enter, and it continues to cut my file. Now, again, there are those who are going to be in different power situations with their electricity in their home who aren't going to feel comfortable doing that. They're going to turn their machine off for whatever reason. You know, there's a lot of ways to restart a file. However, if you feel like you need to use the restart position, again, I'm going to just change X and Y out here. I would come in, I would home the machine, take settings, go back to my job Z, go to, it's going to go back to the Z position that I saved for that file. I want to test Z. I'm going to hit Z2, enter. Make sure that I'm up off my material so that I've got my Z set. And then I'm going to go into File, Restart, and I'm going to go find that file that I ran called Calibrate. And if you remember, it had finished from the previous file. Okay, so what I need to really do is run the file and stop it in the middle so it has something to restart. Again, it's going to come and it restarted. So when I hit, it's going to ask me to hit enter before it will actually start cutting. It's going to go down and it's going to start to run. It's going to go back to Z. I forgot about that part. And it had completed. So I'm going to call up the file, open, calibrate. We'll run the file. Z's going to travel out over the material, wait for the spindle to come up, and it's going to start running the file, okay? But at this point, I'm going to hit the pause key and I'm going to stop. And I want to show you right here that what I've done is I've stopped the file there, and I'm going to hit escape, which means I'm out of that program. I can't hit, see if I hit enter, it's just going to call up the file and will basically restart, but you don't want to run the whole file again. So since you've hit escape and you don't want to run the file again, or you're off the position for some reason, in this case, I'm going to move out off the position so you can see it. I'll move this in a little closer so you can see the relationship of the Z here to the file. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to hit File, Restart, and if you notice, if it's the last file you ran, it's going to call up that file and it's going to show you the line number. If for any reason you have to stop a file, it is always a good idea to write that line number down in case you got to go back to it. But in this case, it is the last file I ran. I'm going to call up that file. I want to start on line number 14, and I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to, I'll have to hit enter. It will go up, it will go out over its last known position and stop. And if you look right here, it's going to ask me to wait and enter to continue. It's going to give me an opportunity to look at it, make sure it's what I want to do. I'm going to hit enter. It's going to go down, and if you look, it's going to finish the file. And that's how you restart a file in wincnc. Now, if there's other things y'all would like to see, I'll be glad to video them. I've got the setup to do it. It's pretty simple. The file's done, it's going to complete, and it's going to go home. Again, I hope I've been helpful, and if there's anything else you want to see, feel free to speak up.